after receiving that new perspective on COVID 19 and what's next, three of our healthy and environmentally friendly youth ambassadors, known as Hey Ambassadors, will present to you our Global Children and Youth Appeal on climate change and health. And this appeal was created by our Hey ambassadors from 11 countries, and it was translated in 4 different languages and is available on the Voice of Youth Global platform. Let's join hands together for a healthier future by taking action to tackle climate change. At this time, I'll ask if Mansi, Brian, and Ashna is on the line.
I'm here.
Hello, yes, I am on the line.
Fantastic.
I'm here.
Good day, everyone.
Bon dia,
Pleasure.
bon noche to everyone. That means good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and papiamento.
Dear friends, dear neighbors, dear leaders from rich nations and less privileged ones, dear brothers and sisters, we are Hey. For us, the earth is our only home, our shelter, our mother. We need it to survive, not the other way around. We are not the hosts, but the guests. We are calling for healthier futures. We are calling on everyone to respect the environment and live in harmony with nature. Climate change increases the frequency and intensity of droughts, floods, hurricanes, causes more forest fires and water scarcity. Climate change leads to cardiovascular and respiratory diseases and an exacerbation of diseases that most affect children.
We want a world where wealth is not used to produce more consumerism, but to lift the poor out of poverty. Inclusive societies where people living with disabilities are protected, where businesses pay more attention to their environmental impact and do not promote unhealthy foods. We want measures to drastically reduce the amount of emissions from factories and oil and gas companies in our countries. Deforestation is one of the main contributing factors of poverty. We want to get out of this cycle. We want to protect our seas. We want to live in insecticide and pesticide-free societies. We want to raise awareness about climate change amongst our people. We want to transform our education systems now to build an eco-friendly generation, not to rely 100% on industrial food production, and countries to use the COVID-19 crisis to accelerate their green transition, not fossil fuel production.
More than anything else, we want to transform fear into hope. Good news, there are solutions, but these solutions require changing the predatory systems we live in. We're calling on all youth, let us repeat, all youth, to take action, even small. We have to begin from somewhere. Some call it the butterfly effect. Don't forget that the COVID-19 crisis is an example of what's ahead of us if we don't take bold steps to build healthier and environment-friendly societies. So we dream of a world where 0 children die of air pollution, where upcoming generations get to experience most flora and fauna species we had the fortune to savor as children, where we listen to the local knowledge of indigenous people, where reduce, recycle, reuse is more than a slogan, a world that unites for the betterment of our planet, where women and men, girls and boys are treated equally, and where people fight climate change, not each other. We are Hey. Are you Hey? Are we Hey together?
Learn about the Hey Campaign. Sign the appeal by visiting the Hey Campaign's webpage at www.childrenenvironment.org/hey-campaign.
But we are Hey, are you Hey? At this time, today's Global Youth Network Summit on Climate Change and Health was an astounding success. The level of fellowship, exchanges, and interchanges was extremely delightful, which of course redounded to the completion of the Hey campaign. We want to take this opportunity to compliment Mr. Selwyn Hart for lending us his expertise and his engagement with young people in an intergenerational forum that was extremely inspiring. The presenters in session 1, A Future for Our World's Children, gave a comprehensive overview of whole Lancet Commission's recent call for a new global movement to place children at the center of the Sustainable Development Goals and change the way we work on child health in the context of climate change. Even more inspiring and impactful was the testimony that was delivered by 8-year-old Lissy Priya. I'm sure you can agree. As a youth, I was even more inspired by the statements and presentations made in session 2 by Mistress Faith Marshall Harris, Sakina, and the Children's Environmental Rights Initiative as it relates to children's rights to a safe and healthier environment. Powerful and very inspirational youth testimonies were delivered by 3 excited and brilliant activists from Afghanistan, Bolivia, and Sierra Leone on the impact climate change has on our health in the context of their countries. My favorite session today was session 4, Our Common Future Must Be More Inclusive, where we explored the challenges faced by children and young people living with disabilities on the front lines of climate change and how we should build societies that are more inclusive. Building societies that are all-inclusive and all-encompassing with persons living with disabilities. The presenters and facilitators did an amazing job. Our societies must be more inclusive. Our final session entitled COVID-19 and the Environment, What's Next? Give us a new perspective and insight into the lessons we are learning through COVID-19 from an environmental and health perspective. Indeed, it was a distinct pleasure moderating this historic, interactive, thought-provoking, and youthful summit on climate change and health. Finally, I want to express my sincerest thanks and appreciation to UNICEF, especially Mr. David Canute, climate change and environment program specialist, who worked tirelessly. I could tell you he worked tirelessly on this project from the inception. And special thanks to all those who played a pivotal role in the development of the Hey campaign, this global summit on climate change and health, the facilitators and presenters and all attendees. You did an amazing job. Mr. Alois, over to you to deliver the final remarks.
Thanks, Ashley. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Let me, on behalf of UNICEF, commend you, Ashley, and your foundation for this great job. You know, it's not that easy to mobilize young persons across the Caribbean and beyond. I was really thrilled to see, heartened to see many young people from all over the world, different continents, despite the time difference, attending, seeing activists as young as 8 years old. That really gives hope to see that out there are many young people committed, determined really to make the change. You remember from Mrs. Faith Marshall Harris' comments, she said that participation of children and young people is vital when it comes to tackling climate change. She added that they have, children and young people have more to lose. So this is what you are doing is critical. On the side of UNICEF, we hope that this Hey campaign, which is actually like, looks like a movement driven by young people. We, on the side of UNICEF, that you will do what it takes to keep this movement alive, because as the Mr. Selwyn Hart said, he said that the world has still a long way to go to achieve the climate action targets at global level. So it takes a lot of commitment to have all hands of young people and others on deck, and it's a long-term commitment, investment. I think from all the discussion, comments, I picked some few messages. For instance, from Dr. Dick Watt. He said that, of course, when we communicate, as part of our communication strategy, it's okay to talk about the impact of climate change, the consequences, but more importantly, let's focus on the benefits, on the solutions. And also, across the board, across the different sessions, there is a kind of thread, a strong message. It's a call for accelerated action to tackle climate change. The good news is that it's clear that out there are solutions, and young people across the regions are implementing those solutions. They are driving the change. They are driving the change. Remember that Mr. Hart also suggested 5 streams of action. We took note of that. We have other speakers that talked about young people managing to influence the national frameworks, policies, legislation. We have messages. I think it was through in the last session or the previous one that environmental education is key, is critical, ensuring that countries have the right policies. Also, we heard about the need for generational dialogue. It's not only about the young people driving the change, it's also having constantly this conversation with other generation as like adults. I would really take this opportunity to encourage all the young people attending this summit. You are not alone. Out there, you have many people, adults, young people with whom you can connect, adults, institutions at national level, at regional level, at international level that you can work with, that can support your action. Like, for instance, this campaign, this summit. So out there, reach out to those people, those institutions that could provide support to realize, to implement your agenda. I would also mention throughout the session, most of the presenters, even through the questions, they need to be inclusive, the inclusion of vulnerable groups. And we have seen how young people living with disabilities can make the difference. We have seen, we have seen Kerian, for instance, her great contribution. We have seen Lucy Mayer from the United States. We have seen young people from Costa Rica. Yes, it's possible. It's possible. When we talk about having all hands on deck, that the tackling climate change is everyone's business, including the people living with disabilities. It's really possible. They have shown that is possible. So if they can make it, so there is no excuse for others who don't even have these challenges with disabilities. They should contribute more. Once again, I congratulate Ashley and her foundation, and thank all participants, experts. So I hand over to you, Ashley, to close the summit.